First of all, happy Dussehra to all of you. I'm sorry I'm taking the session today because yesterday it was not happened. So today I will repeating the session again, and this is the third time I'm taking. So this is all about me. So I'm not going into that. This is my YouTube channel where I will upload the session. So rack session had a good response, so that's why I will upload this session too. And these are my things. So let's begin with the database configuration, the first topic. So actually we have two types of database configuration. One is single instance and another one is multiple instance. So multiple instance we called as a rack or cluster. So this is two types of configuration basically you can use in your environment. Uh, those who are not able to listen, please log out and log in. You have a network problem in your site. Okay. So am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ahmad bhai.
Okay. So those who are not able to listen, please log out and log in again. So in single instance, basically we have one instance and that instance will attach to your database. So whenever user want to access the data from the database, where data is stored in terms of tables, object actually. So that database cannot open without instance. So first instance will come into the picture, and then your instance will find out the database on which it will attach. Then when it will attach, then it will open the database. So this is the way your single instance database will work when DBA will fire the command startup. So a startup has three stages. Everyone knows that: no mount, mount, and open. So every stage passed, and every stage it will check internally the things which are required for that particular stage. If suppose anything is missing, it will give an error. Got it? Like in no mount stage, it will read the parameter file and then it will create the SGA, or you can say memory, and then it will start the background process, and then your instance will configure. And after that, it will check for the control file in mount stage. When it will found the control file, then it will check all the data file and redo log file locations, but it will not open that. Only it will attach the instance with the database, and then in open stage it will check whether data file and redo log file are there in terms of numbers, and they are both are consistent. Then it will open the data file and redo log file, then your database will up. Got it? Is there any questions? My pace is correct or it is fast? Use the chat room, only one guy can respond, then rest uh, your wish. Okay, thanks Avinash. So that is single instance. Any questions related to single instance? Okay, so in rack instance, basically everything was same which we did in single instance, but instance numbers will increase. So in rack, you can say that you have two instance, you have three instance, you have four. So you don't say instance, you can say that node one, node two, or node three, or you can say instance one, instance two, instance three, like that. And up to till how many node you can add in your rack? That is first question for today. I'm sorry. So in rack, how many instance you can add or how many node you can use for your rack? Maximum. Because in real world, I saw only up to 16 node, but maximum how many you can use it? those who have attended my session earlier, okay, so that guy don't speak, only you can write. Yes, absolutely correct. 100 nodes is started, or 100 node you can add, but from which version it is available? Check and let me know. Okay, I will not reply. So that is rack. So basically in rack we have two instance or two node. So if we have two nodes, two instance, so we have two separate memory processes, but storage will be shared, because maybe data file can access by server one, and after that server 2 wants that data file access, and data file access means block basically. So if you see the arrow, so here if you see this arrow, so they are interconnected. So this is called as private network, and this is storage network, and from outside any client is connecting, so that is private public network. So that's why this is the way your rack will be work. Okay. So in rack database, what I said, that you have instance, you have instance 2, instance 3, like that, or you can say node 1, node 2, node 3. And this ASM is basically this ASM 1, this ASM 2, and this is ASM. So basically ASM is a kind of mechanism for disk actually. uh, Sorry for the writing. So this is actually disk storage configuration required for ASM, because ASM, you know, that introduced in 10G, and it is the replacement of operating system storage mechanism for the disk. So we will discuss in separate session about rack, sorry, ASM. So just ignore that. And rack storage is basically stores the rack database file. So that is internal rack database configuration. Okay. Now come to this rack database inside deeper actually. So here if you see that there is a SGA in node 1, there is a SGA in node 2. As I said, that how many instance you are adding, they had separate SGA, separate background process, and global process basically is used for rack process, that is LMON, LMD, LMS, LCK0, DIAG. So these process will do the work for rack cache fusion mechanism. And you had Oracle Clusterware, basically a kind of software which provides the interfaces or mechanism to handle the rack. So we will discuss one by one later on what are those. So till now, that is about a rack database internal architecture. Now come to the database files. So database file is basically uh, because people have many confusion regarding this. So redo log file is common or separate? Tell me. Separate. Okay. And data file is common. Undo table space is separate, means each instance has its own undo file. And control file is common, and your password file is common. If you are using wallet, you are using temporary table space, so it is shared, it means common. And SP file, it is common. And backup and recovery files, it is common. So like that, you have these files which already you had in single instance. So same way they are available, but in rack, undo and redo are separate for each instance, and every node can access, but every node can access redo log file for each instance, but they can write only in own redo log file. Got it? Okay. Now come to this clustered node. So as I said that in cluster, in node 1, node 2, node 3, like that. So every node or every instance is connected by private network. So see, this is the private network, and client will connect through public network, and you have a shared storage where you have shared grid infrastructure files, and every node has instance, every node has ASM instance, every node has clusterware process, every node you can configure local storage also, where you will store grid infrastructure home or database home, and every node has operating system. Clear? So if suppose I want to configure two node for this class or training, so we required two virtual machine, right? And in two virtual machine, first you will install operating system. So operating system is different, or version will be same, but you have to install on both the machine. And after that, what you will do, you will install the grid software, and sorry, just a second. Yeah, so every node after grid infrastructure, grid software, you will configure the clusterware, and then you will install database software, and then you will create the database. Got it? So this is the way you will configure the rack machine. Here, now come to this first term, which is related to your rack, and this is the first word which you will discuss or listen when you are talking about cluster. So basically, a cluster is a group of independent but interconnected computers. You see in the picture, there are multiple server available, and each server are interconnected. And uh, when they are interconnected, so it means they can use resources. Okay, they can use resources for doing a task. So in one line, if suppose anybody is asking the definition of cluster, so you can say that a cluster is a group of independent but interconnected computers that will act as a single system, or that will behave as a single system. Got it? So this is the cluster keyword concept. And why we are doing these types of things? Because it provide me, first thing is availability. Then second is it will provide the performance. And third thing, it will provide the scalability. So in some book, it is like that: scalability, availability, and performance. So I'm not going into the order of that. I'm just going to discuss what all about. So availability means, if suppose you have one rack server or one rack configuration in your environment, and it has three nodes. Suppose one node is down, so whatever the node work related to queries and users, that will transfer to node 2, so that user can get fastest availability in case of any failure. And now second case is performance. So in performance, basically, if suppose you have single instance, so 1000 user will access single instance. But suppose you have three instance, so your user you can divide according to the work, like HR department, finance department, and marketing department, like that. So you are distributing the load of query or work, whether it is a DDL or DML. So that's why you can get the performance. Now, what is scalability? Scalability means you can add, you can remove your node or instance anytime. So that will basically give the scalability in terms of users numbers increasing. Suppose you started your company and you get many clients, but from starting it was 1, 2, 3, like that. Gradually your business is increasing, your users are increasing. So that time you required this scalability feature and concept. Is this clear to all of you? Okay, thank you. Now clusterware. So clusterware, as you read, is a software. So there is a confusion between cluster and clusterware. So cluster is basically a mechanism where you have multiple computers connected with network, and that will behave as a single system. And clusterware is a software which basically provides services, and that provides the interfaces, and that supports a cluster. So without clusterware, you cannot do the things like any activity. So typically, when you are saying clusterware in capabilities, so it will allow the cluster to manage as a single entity, but it will not including OS requirement. And then second, protect the integrity of the cluster. It means your data is protected and the cluster continue to function even communication with the cluster node is severed. Okay, means suppose one block is coming to instance one and user is doing update, but after that it is not committing. So second user or second node wants that block, so it will not transfer from the disk, it will transfer from the node one. So how it will transfer, that we will discuss later on. So that basically capabilities or services provided with the help of clusterware software. That's why it is said that it will protect the data. Got it? If suppose there is no communication between the node, so same time user updating same row, and user 2 also updating same row, because both are getting the block from the disk, and after that they are committing, so your data corruption will occur like that. Okay, because in Oracle concept is locking. Any user can access the data from the database, but when it is working on one block on one row, that will establish a lock, so that next user will have to wait. After finishing the user one work, it will come or it will start the work, right? So this is the mechanism. Your data will be protected in database or in database. Now third thing is that maintain a registry of resources, so that location is known across the cluster, and so that dependency between resources is maintained. So which we use for this two files. So can you answer what are those two files which basically stores the rack configuration information? When you reply the answer, then reply as private. When you ask the question, ask in public. That is my request. Yes, many
Yeah.
people are saying OCR, OLR, absolutely correct. Many people are saying OCR and voting list. So voting list is not used for this mechanism. We will discuss later on. So OCR and OLR is the perfect answer. OCR is global files, which contains all the node information. OLR is local file, which contains only that specific node or instance information. Is this correct? Okay. So deal with changes to the cluster. Means if you can add node, you can remove node. If suppose any node is failed, then it will be kicked out. So this deal will be provided by clusterware software and provide a common view of resources such as network address, files in a file system. So these are the things which clusterware provides. Any questions? Sorry. Now come to more detail in Oracle Clusterware. So Oracle Clusterware is a part of grid infrastructure. So that's why it is must. So when you install grid software, then it will come into the picture. And it contains also automatic storage management, ASM, and Oracle file system. Okay, so these two things, it will be there. And then Oracle Clusterware can use ASM to all the shared files in the cluster. Is also, you can say, a foundation to the ASM cluster file system. So in generalized term, cluster file system that can be used for most file-based data, such as document, spread, sheets, and report. So Oracle cluster file system is basically, or cloud file system is basically used for that. So the combination of clusterware, ASM, and ASM cluster file system provides the better administration for a unified cluster solution. That is basically the foundation of RAG database, and also it will foundation of all the application which connected to that database. And Oracle Clusterware also manage the resources like VIP addresses, databases, listeners, services, and so on. Right. So using Oracle Clusterware, basically you are eliminate the need to proprietary vendor clusterware. Earlier, earlier, we use vendor clusterware also, but Oracle said that use Oracle clusterware, which provides better mechanism to handle the rack or to configure the rack. So Oracle provide entire solution, right? Like for storage, you have ASM. For other data related file like document, spreadsheet, you have ACFS. So like that, you can use in your environment. And also Oracle provides a data guard. By that you can provide better high availability, or you can say MAA maximum availability, and that is basically your clusterware. Here, any questions? So see the diagram, Oracle Clusterware is printed on all the servers combinedly. So basically Oracle Clusterware is combining the multiple server and treated as a one server, so that user will not get confused about the work, and user will not know from where my data is coming and processing. Here. Licensing part, Muhammad Shafiq, I have no idea about that. If you want, I will check it and let you know, because I'm not in the marketing and licensing department and I never worked that. So that's why I have less knowledge in license related. When you become an architect, then on that time it is required. Then you have to study about licensing and product information like that. So if I moving to the other slide, that is clusterware architecture and clusterware services. So as I said, or maybe you are not in that session, that is lesson 3, not lesson 3, my session 3. So in that I said that whatever the work is done, it is done by the services, so you have to manage the services. So in rack we have two stack, upper stack and lower stack. So did you know about this, how many stack is there? So I told upper stack and lower stack, right? So if I am asking, can you elaborate more? So what you will tell, what upper stack has, what lower stack has? Anybody
Lower
can
stack.
try in the chat room. Those who have attended my session, session 3. Yes, CRS, cluster ready services, comes to upper stack, and lower stack is OHASD, Oracle High Availability Service Daemon. Okay, so that is the answer. Okay, and if you want to know more that, just go to my YouTube channel and check the last session 3. It is in detail, and that video is almost doing well, maximum hit, maximum watching hours, and maximum subscription I'm getting. So luckily that session was very good because people are giving the feedback, so I am happy for that. Okay, so come to this shared cluster architecture basically provides a complete set of cluster services which supports your rack. Supports to your rack means shared disk, load balancing cluster architecture. Okay, and Oracle Clusterware can also be used to provide failover cluster services for single instance Oracle databases and other applications. So the services provided by Clusterware is, the first one is cluster management. So what is cluster management? Basically, which allows cluster services and application resources to be monitored and managed from any node in the cluster. So that is cluster management. And then second word is node monitoring, which provides real-time information regarding which nodes are currently available and the resources they support. And cluster integrity is also protected by evicting or fencing unresponsive node. So evicting means there is a mechanism in rack, every node should ping each node and also should uh, ping on voting disk or voting files. If anything happened between the communication and after that, suppose node is not pinging to any node, but it is pinging to voting disk, but that is failure, because to availability or to work in the rack, node should be do two things: ping to each other and ping to voting disk or voting file. If anyone is missing, that node will come into the eviction, and then voting will be done, and then on the basis of the voting or number of existence of that node will be the cause of evicting the node. That we will discuss later on more in detail. So that node monitoring is basically done by the Clusterware software by services. Okay, so that is okay. Now event services. The word event means whatever happening in the cluster that will be published as an cluster event, so that application are aware of changes whatever happens in the cluster. So that's why event services is there. And then time synchronization, very important. Suppose you had, now you had a feature, you can configure node graphically, sorry, geographically anywhere. So when you are configuring your nodes in terms of distance or time zone, so on that time your time synchronization should be required, and it is managed by operating system mechanism as well as cluster wares management. So Oracle say that better to use cluster ware time mechanism for managing the time synchronization. So what is that term which do time synchronization? Which service? Yes, Rajkumari, you are right.
Cluster, cluster time synchronization.
Send the answer. ONS is not there. Who, Avinash, why ONS? That is Oracle Notification Services. I am talking about time synchronization. So we have NTPD, that is OS operating system mechanism. And then you had CTSS, Cluster Time Synchronization Services. So better to use CTSS if you are using NTPD. So that will be the front end, and your CTSS will work on the background. If you are using CTSS, then NTPD will work as a monitor kind of. Okay, so these services basically manage the time and equal the time inside the node, whether the time zone is same or different, so that user cannot get infected about this features, which provides time synchronization. Correct? So next is network management, which basically provides the network management. So we have multiple type of network. The first one is virtual IP, then public IP, then private IP, then scan IP, right? So these four types of network which they are in rack. So you need to study all. So we will discuss later on in network session. So basically, there is a grid naming services which manage network naming in the cluster. So that GNS we will discuss more. And the high availability, as I said, which services monitor and restart all resources as required. So high availability means if suppose any failure happens, then that services or that node automatically restarted, but it depends on the causes of shutting down that node. So it has multiple features. By that, your node will be up and node will be work. And then last, cluster interconnected link aggregation. So that is HAIP, which basically used for high available IP. So that is short form is HAIP. Clear? So we will discuss in network part or in network session. Just give me 2-minute break. I'm coming back. Yes, I'm back. Boss, I had said that I'm going for 2 minutes, and now everybody is sending privately. I don't hear you. Boss, only answer you can message me private, and other thing you can do in public. Whether you had a problem, whether you are asking the questions, please listen here. Okay. So goals for Oracle Clusterware is basically provides the better management, better installation, better ASM features or enhancement to use. And by this clusterware, you don't require any other third-party clusterware, and it will configure tight integration with Oracle RAC. So ASM is basically introduced in 10G, and in every version, Oracle is adding features in ASM. So that features you can use in your rack. So Oracle database 12c build on tight integration between Oracle clusterware and rack by using the all features of ASM. So in that all the shared data in your cluster can be managed by using ASM. So this includes the shared data required to run Oracle clusterware. So Oracle RAC and other application you choose to deploy in your cluster. So in most cases, capability removes the need to deploy additional clusterware from other sources. Okay, and also it will remove the potential of integration issues which caused by running multiple clusterware software stacks. So it is also improve the overall management of the cluster. So that is basically goals for Oracle cluster. And how many types of cluster configuration we have till now? So this is 19C. Till 19C, I use this PPT or PDF or figure. I got it online, so I had added. So you had a standalone cursor. That is the topic. That is the method which we use. No, not a standalone. A standalone is a single cluster with local node hosting grid infrastructure and ASM. And extended cluster is basically a new feature where you can spread node over a geographic area. And cluster domain is basically contains domain services cluster and member of cluster. So domain services cluster basically provides the centralized services for a cluster domain, and cluster member basically a cluster that belongs to a cluster domain and receive services from a domain service cluster. So that basically combined and called as cluster domain. So these are the cluster configuration which you can use in your client environment or in your company environment. All right. So now more inside details in cluster domain. I will not go in detail over here because it will goes in different direction. I'm just giving the overview of all these things. And a cluster domain basically contains, as I said, member cluster. So you can see that database member cluster and application member cluster. So database member cluster can has local ASM or ACFS, and application member cluster can use ACFS or remote service, and all using public network. And when in terms of domain services cluster, they are multiple like GIMR, trace file analyzer, fleet patching and provisioning services, ASM services, IO services, ASM, ACFS remote services. So that basically called as domain services, DSC. And that after that your shared ASM storage will come into the picture. So that is more inside cluster domain. Now Oracle clusterware fencing, that basically an important service which provides the uh, by Oracle Clusterware. And can anyone tell me what is node fencing? No one knows? Okay. So basically, when you had multiple nodes, right? So Oracle Clusterware node fencing is a technique which is used by cluster environment to evict non-responsive or multi-functioning node from the cluster. So affected nodes should be kicked out, because if suppose it is there in your cluster, it will increase the probability of data corruption due to unsynchronized database writes. So whenever any node is evicted, that eviction is done by fencing. Okay, clear? So Oracle Clusterware uh, fencing used fast reboots to enforce node removal. So what does it mean? Basically, Oracle Clusterware uses a word STONITH. Just take me a pen. So STONITH. What is the full form of this? Shoot the other node in the head. Okay. So basically, Oracle Clusterware use this technique. Basically, it is a fencing algorithm to ensure data integrity. So in that, cluster integrity is basically you can say a split brain scenario. Whenever it is there, so it should be prevented. Okay. So for Oracle Clusterware, this means that a local process enforce the removal of one or more node from the cluster, and this approach traditionally involved a fast reboot of the offending node. So fast reboot is a shutdown and restart procedure that does not wait for any IO to finish, or for file system to synchronize on shutdown. So starting with Oracle Clusterware 11G release 2, this mechanism has been changed to prevent such a reboot as much as possible by introducing reboot less node fencing. So whenever node is evicted, that reboot is done. But now there is reboot less feature, or you can say node fencing is available. So in that, when a decision is made to evict a node from the cluster, Oracle Clusterware will first attempt to shut down all resources on the machine that was chosen to be the subject of an eviction. Means just whatever node it is coming, or it is in evicting phase, that IO or that resources should be shut down. So basically, IO generating process are killed, and Oracle Clusterware ensures that those processes are completely stopped before continue. Okay, so if all resources can be stopped and all IO generating process can be killed, Oracle Clusterware will shut down itself down on the resources respective node. but will attempt to restart after the stack has been stopped. So for some reason, not all resources can be stopped, or IO generating process cannot be stopped completely. So Oracle Clusterware will start to perform a reboot. So this traditional fencing approach, Oracle Clusterware now support a new fencing mechanism based on remote node termination. So the concept uses an external mechanism capability or capable of restarting a problem node without cooperation either from Oracle Clusterware or from the operating system which running on that node. So to provide the availability, basically Oracle Clusterware supports the IPM feature, that is Intelligent Management Platform Interface Specifications, which is a standard management protocol to use IPMI. When you install, you will see that. So to use IPMI, uh, to remotely fence a server in the cluster, the server must be equipped with the base board management controller BMC, which support IPMI over a local area network, that is LAN. After this hardware is in place in every server of the cluster, IPMI can be activated either post installation management or, or during the installation time, and CRS-CTL interface you will use, or tool you will use. So Oracle Clusterware basically still continue to support third-party cluster, but for certified solution, Oracle Clusterware will integrated with the third-party solution in a way that node membership decision are deferred to the third-party cluster solution. So for Oracle RAC environment, it is worth uh, noticing the Oracle Clusterware is mandatory and provides all required functionality. No other third-party solution should therefore is required. So whenever you are using this clusterware, you don't require another things or another third-party cluster. Clear? Now cluster time synchronization. So time synchronization between cluster node is critical, and time between the servers in a cluster does not necessarily lead to installability. So asynchronous time can make it harder to manage the cluster as a whole. Okay. Uh, so that's why it should be equal. So one reason is that time stamps are written using the local node time. So log analysis can be impacted if time is different. So if the time in a cluster is changing, so that is difficult. So central time server in the data center accessed by NTP network time protocol is typically used to synchronize the server, which gives times to prevent deviating times between the cluster node. Sorry, it is been to avoid suddenly time adjustment on individual node. which can lead to a node evictions also when performed abruptly. So to make Oracle grid infrastructure independent from external resource, the new Oracle Cluster Time Synchronization Service daemon, that is OCTSSD, that is OCTS, oh my God, horrible, OTSSD, OCTSSD. Okay, so that can be used to synchronize the time between the server in one cluster. So to Oracle, the Oracle CTSS domain is always installed and it will always be running, but configure in according to the configuration found on the system. So remember, CTSS daemon will do this. So as I said, NTP is installed on the system, which is OS facility, and CTSS is will come in the observer mode. That will not synchronize the time. If NTP is not present on your server, then CTSS will be activated in active mode and then synchronize the time in the cluster. So using one server as the reference server. Clear, guys? Let me check how many slides remaining. Oh my God, 23. We had 54. Oh, we are slow. Yes, no questions till now. Can one guy can respond or one attendee can respond? Thanks, Rajkumari. So network resource management, basically a technique which maintain the network resource management by the Oracle clusterware. So as I see the slide, clusterware manage a local network resource that is responsible for monitoring the node on each member. Note, when a network outage is detected, that is VIPs, then informed and filled over to the another node if required. An Oracle cluster where maintains one network resources per subnet in the cluster. Multiple subnet support is a feature will facilitate the consolidation of application and database in grid infrastructure. Multiple subnet support enable independent access of application and database uses or using different subnet in the cluster. So this basically appear as an independent environment to both the database and application client. So Oracle cluster where basically maintain one network resource per subnet. Okay, clear? So Oracle cluster where networking, if you see that each node must have at least 2 network adapter, and this network adapter, this is NIC1, NIC2, and each public network must support TCP/IP. An interconnected adapter must support UDP or RDS. So another interview question: which which protocol interconnect will be used? So the answer is no. For private, it will be used. For private, it will be used UDP or RDS. but for Windows it will be used TCP, and for public, whether it is a Windows or Linux, it will use TCP IP. Please remember that. And all platform uses grid inter-process communication, that is GIPC. So that is another way of network. So each node must have at least two network adapter. One is public and another one is private. And interface names associated with the network adapter for each network must be same on all nodes. Suppose in a two node cluster, you can configure network adapter on node 1 with ETH0 as the public interface, but on node 2 you have ETH1 as the public interface. So public interface names must be the same. Okay, so you must configure ETH0 as public on both nodes. Okay, so please remember that. So another questions, can we use same public interface name for both node, or should we use different, and which one is better? So I said already. So you should configure the private network interface on the same network adapter as well. So you can use ETH1 on node 1 and node 2. Clear? So for private, you will go ETH1. For public, you can go ETH0. So before starting the installation on each node, you have must at least two interfaces to configure public and private IP addresses. But you can configure IP addresses with one of the following options. So one is GNS and another one is tell me two options for network. Tell me another one is. Yes, absolutely correct. DNS. So one is DNS and one is GNS. Clear? So what is GNS and what is DNS? Anyone can try. So GNS is Oracle Grid Naming Service. So that is enough to tell about GNS, or should I tell more? So GNS is basically use one static address which you will define during installation, which dynamically allocate VIP addresses using DHCP, which must be running on the network. So you must select the advanced Oracle Clusterware installation option when you want to use GNS. So that is another interview question. When you enable GNS, so you can say that when we use advanced installation feature, then after that we can use this GNS feature. And how many IPs is there? You can say multiple IPs, but it will depend on one static address which defined during installation, and that one static address allocate multiple VIP addresses that will be provided by DHCP. Okay, so am I discuss about firewall, which you are asking, Shafiq? Am I discussing firewall? Please ask the questions whatever topic I am covering. And then second method is static address that network administration assign on a network domain name server. So to use typical Oracle Clusterware option, you can use static address. Okay, so that is two mechanism is available in your Oracle Clusterware networking. So for public, each network adapter must support TCP IP. For the private, you have UDP or RDS. But for Windows, you can go for TCP. So very important interview question.
Ahmad, excuse me. I apologize for interrupting you. I just want to ask you that if we have any firewall configured, so is there any ports required to have a communication between private IPs uh, and the TCP IP, public IPs? So this was my question actually regarding the third-party
So
firewall.
as I said that I will discuss everything related to network in network session. So then I will tell about firewall concept, which type of firewall is there, how many ports will be available, which ports we should allocate, which port should not be. So like that, all these types of question I will discuss in network, where I will tell in detail about the public network, private network, scan IP, VIP, and TAF, NAF, like that. So we will discuss at that time, because if I will go firewall here, it will go in different direction. Okay, so you can ask on that time, or you can ping me private, I will answer it. Now where we, so for public network we use TCP IP, but for private, for Linux or Unix system we use UDS or RDS, but for Windows we can use for TCP. Okay, so GIP is used for grid inter-process communication. So GIPC is a common communication infrastructure to replace CLS, CNS. It provides full control of the communication stack from the operating system up to the whatever client library uses it. So the dependency on network services before 11.2 is removed, but still backward compatibility with existing CLSC client, which primarily from 11.1. GIPC can support multiple communication types like CLSC, TCP, UDP, IPC, and the communication type GIPC. So use high speed network adapter to interconnect and switches that support TCP IP, gigabit Ethernet, or equivalent, whatever is recommended. If you have multiple available network interfaces, Oracle recommend that you use the redundant interconnect usage features to use multiple interfaces to the private network. However, you can also use third-party technology to provide redundancy for the private network. So each node in a cluster require a supported interconnected protocol to support cache fusion and TCP/IP to support clusterware pooling. So that is all about. And one important thing is that token ring is not supported for Oracle Cluster Interconnect on IBM AIX. Remember that. So your interconnected protocol must be certified by the Oracle to your platform. And if suppose you have crossover cables, then it will not support in the Oracle clusterware interconnects. Clear? So if you go in detail, this is the internal picture. Shared storage will connected by shared network, and private IP, VIP. VIP has a local listener, and public IP has a scan listener. Private IP is connected, interconnect between network switches, and public IP is basically use public network. So this is the inside diagram of that. Now IP addresses for network. Any idea about this? No idea. So as we have IP4 and IPv6, So you can cluster configuration during the installation with either IPv4 or IPv6. Database client can connect to IPv4 or IPv6 addresses. The scan listener basically automatically redirect client connection requests to the appropriate database listener for the IP protocol of the client request. So Oracle Clusterware supports both. Oracle RAC and Oracle Grid infrastructure supports the during installation IPv4, IPv6 you can use, and a single client X naming or scan basically introduced in 11.2, which automatically redirect client connection request to the appropriate database listener to the IP protocol of the client. So during installation, Oracle does not support configuring some node in the same cluster with all IPv6 addresses and other node will all IPv4 address, or some node with both IPv4 and IPv6. So whereas other nodes are configured exclusively with IPv4 or IPv6. So what does it mean? In installation, it should be same, but after installation, you can use both the combination. So during installation, you can choose to enable your client to connect with either IPv6 or IPv4. But after installation, you can add IPv4 addresses to an IPv6, or if you are using IPv6 to add IPv4 in your rack. So you must configure the public network as an IPv4 network, and IPv6 addresses are not supported to the interconnect. So many interview question is there in that. So interview can ask IPv6 addresses can be used for interconnect? No. IPv6 and IPv4 can be used for public network? Yes. IPv4 and IPv6 can be used for during installation? No. But after installation, you can add vice versa. Clear? So these types of interview questions interviewer can ask. So any questions? What is the difference between a scan listener and node listener? You are far behind from my session. Just go by my session. Okay, I think you are a working experience. That's why you are asking these types of question. So as I said again, when we discuss more in detail in network, I will discuss scan listener and node listener. Scan listener is basically a listener which connected to your scan IP. If suppose you are using 3 scan IP, you had 3 scan listener, and local listener is basically attached to the database of instance, or you can say local instance, where that come into the picture later on. First scan listener will come into the picture. Okay. Now grid naming services, so that is GNS. So GNS is basically assures that there is a DHCP server running on the public network with enough addresses in that to assign the VIP, and scan VIP. With GNS, only one static IP address is required for the cluster. So in GNS, you can use one static IP for scan IP, and the GNS virtual IP addresses is basically had multiple IPs which assigned automatically. So this address should be defined in the DNS domain. So GNS set up a multicast DNS server, that is MDNS, within the cluster, which resolve naming in the cluster without static configuration of the DNS server for other node IP addresses. So MDNS work is that within GNS node names are resolved using link LLMNR. Did you heard that? LLMNR? LLMNR. What is that? Anybody? When I ask question, nobody is replying. Only 2-3 guys are active. That is link local multicast name resolution. This is the full form. So it does this by MDNS translating the LLMNR, that is local domain used by the multicast resolution, to subdomain which is specified in DNS query. When you select GNS, an MDNS server is configured on each host in the cluster. So LLMNR relies on the MDNS that Oracle clusterware manage to resolve names that are being served by that host. So basically, when you use GNS, then MDNS will come, and MDNS will manage LLMNR, and every host it has. Okay, so to use GNS before installation, the DNS administrator must establish domain delegation to the subdomain for the cluster. Queries to the cluster are sent to the GNS listener on the GNS virtual IP addresses. When a request comes to the domain, GNS resolve it using its internal MDNS and respond to the query. So MDNS will resolve the naming things in GNS. Clear? So this is the interview question. But you cannot use GNS with another multicast DNS. So basically each cluster node has a MDNS process. So if you want to use GNS for every multicast, then disable any third-party MDNS daemons on your system. But you cannot use, if you want to use GNS, then disable any third-party MDNS daemons on the system, then you can use. Otherwise, you can't use one GNS with other multicast DNS. Okay. Now see that internal diagram. Very easy, but better see yourself. Is this picture is visible to you guys?
Not that visible.
Just a second. This is the maximum which I can. So see, I'm using pen. So this is your client. Okay. So here is scan, port, and services. Okay. So what is written here? Gets the 3 scan VIPs, and this is DNS that will resolve the name and host resolution. Everyone knows that. What is the work of DNS? Who does not knows that? What is the work of DNS? So DNS basically resolve the naming from the IP and from the naming to IP. So vice versa, it will work. If you provide the IP, it will give the name. If you provide the name, it will give the IP. So NS lookup is the command, right? So VIP resolution is basically GNS, and GNS has a static VIP. So host name to address resolution, and registered node VIP and scan VIP. So that is node and scan VIP agent. And if you see profile.xml file, and then another one is least loaded node for services. So every node has a local listener, LL. Okay, so this is local listener. How it will configure? Local underscore listener parameter. And every node has a scan listener. So for scan listener, we required remote underscore listener. Okay, so there is a two things in that: local underscore listener and remote underscore listener. So remote underscore listener will tell you about the scan listener, and local underscore listener will tell you local listener. Okay, so that is basically method load balancing is used. So there is one repository where your node loading information is available, and according to that repository, local listener knows that my node is less loaded, so it will tell to the scan listener, boss, I am the least loaded node, so give me the connection which you have. So then scan listener will transfer the connection to the local listener, and then local listener will establish a connection with the client. So this is the way it is work. Clear? And see that every node has a MDNS server, and GPNP is a profile replication, and DHCP is basically a file which contains list of IPs which assigned on the basis of availability. So this is the way your grid naming service will work. Clear, guys? Shared GNS across multiple clusters. In previous releases, GNS was dedicated to a single grid infrastructure based cluster. But from 12c, one GNS can now manage just the cluster member nodes in its own, or GNS can provide naming resolution for all nodes across all cluster in the data center that are delegated to the Oracle GNS for resolution. So using only one GNS for all nodes that are part of grid infrastructure, a cluster in the data center not only streamlines the naming convention, but also enables a data center cloud, minimizing day-to-day administration effort. So one GNS for all nodes that are part of the grid infrastructure, where you will get three benefits: minimizes day-to-day administration effort, enables a data center cloud. Cloud means when multiple node is there in one GNS, and streamline the naming convention. When GNS is there, so that is for one node. When you say global naming services, then it is managing multiple node. So that is the difference, boss. Ayan. Like local partition, sorry, local index or global index, right? And same way local partition and global partition. So same way local GNS, that is called as GNS, global GNS, that is called as globally, which is used for multiple nodes. Clear? Then grid naming service configuration. So in that configuration things is there. So GNS can run in either automatic or standard cluster configuration mode. Automatic configuration occurs in the following ways, like for IP4 addresses, for IPv6 addresses. So in that IPv6 cluster automatically generates the addresses with auto config, and in IPv4 cluster where assign identify for each node interfaces, generating names within the delegated subdomain. If you are using GNS, then maintains the addresses and name association with DHCP pool. So that is the way you can do that. And with static configuration, no subdomain is delegated. So GNS VIP resolves to an addresses configured on DNS, and this can resolve the three static addresses for the cluster, and static public and virtual IP names and addresses are defined in the DNS for each cluster member node. So this is naming service configuration option. So single scan is the address used by client which is connecting to the cluster, and scan is a fully qualified host name in the DNS subdomain which has 3 IP addresses. You can also use one IP addresses, but that is not recommended. And that scan you can use for DNS, and scan you can configure with host file. So that is the way of using it. So basically, when you are adding a node, when you are deleting a node, so before scan, you need to update the TNS names.ora file every client. So suppose you have 100 clients, so you need to update 100 TNS files, right? When you are adding a node or deleting a node. So that is very hectic. So if you are using scan, so in that scan name is one, which is common, which you can provide to the client, and that client will be used to connection, whether you have node 4, 3, 5 like that. No need to update the DNS names files. So this is the benefit when scan introduced. Clear? And every scan IP has a scan listener, and scan listener can run on any node in the cluster, and scan provide location independence for the databases, so that client configuration does not have to depend on which node run a particular database. So as I said that stands registered with the scan listener only as a remote listener. That is another interview question. And unupgraded database registered with scan listener as remote listener, and also continue to register with all other listeners. So if you specify a GNS domain during installation, then scan default to cluster name -scan .gns underscore domain. If a GNS domain is not specified in installation, then scan default to cluster name -scan dot current underscore domain. Okay, so like that this is done. And during installation, listener are created on each node for scan IP addresses. Oracle ClusterWare routes application request to the cluster scan, and cluster scan will route the connection to the least loaded instance which provides the service. Clear? So scan function like a cluster alias. So scan are resolved on any node in the cluster as so unlike a VIP address for a node, client connect to the scan and no longer require updated VIPs addresses as nodes are added or removed. So because the scan addresses resolve the cluster naming, so rather than a node address in the cluster, nodes can be added or removed from the cluster without affecting the scan address configuration. Clear? So if you do not use GNS, the scan should be defined in the DNS, I told. Okay, clear? Now, Oracle ClusterWare operating system requirement, you can check this link, and each server must have an operating system that is certified with Oracle ClusterWare version. You need to install. When the operating system is installed and working, install Oracle ClusterWare to create the cluster. Okay, so you need to check this link, oracle.com technic-work database cluster technology tech generic Unix new 166583 HTML file. Okay. Okay, so that is I'm done with this one section. So this RAG database architecture has multiple things, so I'm not going today. because it will take more 1 hour because I'm going slow. So at this level, I am stopping. So thank you guys for joining me. And due to time duration availability, actually this batch is shuffling morning, evening. So this thing I have already informed before starting the batch, because according to my availability, I will take the session. So you have to manage your time. If you are not there, then you can check my recording, because I started recording from third session. So you can check my this YouTube channel, that is Oracle Ride. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can connect me. And for feedback, those who are new, please give the feedback for today's session, and I would love to read the feedback from you, whether it is a positive or negative. So just go to my oracleride.com